Hello and welcome to the
Say Report.
Yeah, that didn't work, Sejohn. This was a terrible idea. I am right under the fucking bus.
No, man. That way, nobody gets to talk first. Nobody owns the year 2018
That's
yet.
true. That's how. That is okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, what we have just given you, what we have just done, is exemplified how to be host companions.
Host companions. That's right.
Because if either one of us had gotten to do the intro for this episode of the Say Report, they would have owned the year 2018.
Exactly. For the year, they would be the host, and then in 2019, we'd start all over again.
I'm a little upset that we didn't get to do this Hunger Games of hosting, Sejohn.
I'm just saying, my hosting duties, though, be ready for the year when I win.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the very first episode of the Say Report for 2018. We made it. We fucking made it to 2018.
Yeah, man.
I did not think it was going to happen. I will be honest with you. Like, these last couple of weeks, when you got all snowed in and I couldn't see you, I'm like, this is it, man. This is the end of fucking days.
This is the end of the world. 2017 was a scary year, but it's gone now. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for coming, you dick sucker.
Oh, man. So let's start off 2018 right, Devin.
Let's start off 2018 right. So if you call me Betty, then Betty, I will call you Al. That was not a good segue.
Oh, God.
Man walks down the street. The street in the street.
I was just going to ask, what are you doing with your 2018 so far? But, man.
No, well, that's what you're doing with your 2018. And I'm pushing you right in front of the train. I'm throwing you onto buses. I'm pushing you in front of trains. Here's the problem. Here's what I'm doing with my 2018. And then we'll circle back to the man of Graceland. I have made a resolution for better metaphors. That is number one on my resolution list. Like, lose weight. And I don't remember what the third one was. I have 3 resolutions on my list.
Oh, see, I go for resolutions like I'm gonna develop a good drink recipe this year. Like, that's my big resolution.
Dude, I'm developing drink recipes every night. That's not like, okay, I need 365 days to do this.
No, I want this is gonna be a good one. This is gonna be one for the books. Like, I'm gonna invent a drink recipe this year.
I took place in a drink cocktail competition, right? It was me and Zach from Board with Friends. We were the team, and our drink was so good that was the first and only annual drink competition. Because, that stuff went out with, first annual cocktail competition, teams of 2, and we were each assigned, one thing that needed to be used in the cocktail, and then the rest was carte blanche.
Iron Chef style, I get it.
Yeah, it was like an Iron Chef cocktail contest. There were 4 teams, and Zach and I developed a cocktail called the Grimace. Yeah, right? Took it to the next friggin' level. Because it was purple, like Grimace. And
also when you drank it.
Oh, dude. It was Fuji apple syrup, maraschino cherry syrup, and then the blue raspberry ice lemonade Kool-Aid. I don't know what it's called. It's gone through so many. It's blue raspberry lemonade Kool-Aid, right?
Okay.
It's blue raspberry lemonade Kool-Aid, and rather than use water to make the Kool-Aid, we put in 2 quarts of vodka.
Fuck, man, that'll knock you in your ass real quick.
And then it was garnished with a Fuji apple slice. Fuji apple, obviously, being the magic ingredient.
Nice. So you basically took a fruity drink that you could put any fruit into, and you just happened to get Fuji apple, so you threw that in it. You could have gotten any fruit.
But let me tell you though, that, you could not taste the alcohol, Sejohn. Let's talk about the fact that what I just described was we made Kool-Aid with vodka.
You basically made fucking rocket fuel, and
it all went down to it, and our drink did not look great, which is why we called it the Grimace, but it tasted phenomenal, and the whole voting process came down, and the judges were like, how the fuck did this win? But they all agreed. We got 8s and 9s on the Grimace.
So you think that Grimace is the secret ingredient in the Big Mac?
No. Grimace is a chicken nugget that turned bad.
Oh, I can see that.
That is one of the beliefs of the Grimace. Also, he started out as a four-armed purple Bigfoot Yeti-esque creature that stole milkshakes.
And then he became like a really cute character. Well, because they already had the Hamburglar. They didn't need another dude in there.
Do you want to know what happened to the fucking pirate from McDonaldland?
What
he
happened
took
to
his
the pirate?
hook and he committed a goddamn lobotomy on Grimace. And they're like, you gotta fucking go. We can't be having you around.
Wow.
Like, you did a lot of good for us. You dealt with the threat that is the Grimace.
He's like, well, I just tamed the beast.
I've tamed the beast. Mayor McCheese and Big Mac, they sat down and they're like, he did solve our problem. And then Big Mac's like, I got no problem with it. And then Mayor McCheese was, well, listen, Mac, this guy's a fucking liability. This was unsanctioned fucking neurosurgery committed with his goddamn left hook hand. We cannot allow him in McDonaldland anymore.
But Mayor McCheese was just like,
that was Mayor McCheese who said that. Big Mac was all about it.
Big Mac.
Big Mac's like, yeah, no, you're right.
I'm just trying to get my facts clear on who's responsible in this madness, this house of cards.
Big Mac is essentially Willem Dafoe from Boondock Saints regarding the lobotomy of Grimace.
Oh my
God. And here's the truth. The pirate, whose name I clearly don't fucking know, right? I have pulled out all of these characters from McDonaldland, don't know the pirate's name. He went off and he started Long John Silver's.
Oh my God. Well, he must be. Well, he's not a McDonald. Who would he be? Who would the pirate be?
I don't know. He's like a captain. Like his name is Captain something. But that's
Captain Cola? Captain.
No, he's like literally just the fucking. Because here's the deal.
The captain. He's just the captain.
The captain. No, McDonaldland was basically a ripoff of HR Puffin stuff. From tip to tail. So I mean, you got like all the ones. I really am upset now that I can't think of the captain's name.
Who's your witch there? Your witchy poo.
What witchy poo? Oh,
from HR Puppet stuff. Who's your equivalent to witch? Is that Wendy or whatever her name
Birdie?
is? The bird there.
It's probably Birdie. She used magic all the fucking time. People don't talk about the fact that Birdie was using magic.
And how does Mac and Me fit into all of this?
Is nothing. Mac and Me was there like. All right, we have gone off the deep end. We had the goddamn pirate character lobotomize the monster. We need to start from scratch.
Smack the Mork to their
Mac and Me is Mork and Mindy from Happy Days. To just conflagrate the whole fucking thing. The moral of the story is, I don't need to resolve to make better drinks. I need to resolve to make better metaphors.
Because and here we are.
Because what was I talking about? It's Rotten Tomatoes, right? I didn't want to lead off with Rotten Tomatoes, but there's another fucking petition to shut down Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, well, there's that. Yeah, are you talking about the one that was started because of that dude with Star Wars, where he admitted to like buying like a couple of thousand bots to like vote on it on? Is that
no? That led to it, but then
yeah.
Well, if we're gonna talk about the whole Star Wars Rotten Tomato debacle, Last Jedi lowest rated Star Wars on Rotten Tomatoes. That was the first story, and then story number 2 was fake news. Bots used in order to drive down user score of The Last Jedi, and then the third story, where I'm just like, this is a joke, right? I can't trust any of this, is that was also false. That the score was true. They search for bots and they eliminate that. So yes, Last Jedi is the lowest rated on Rotten Tomatoes.
Fan rating, we should point out. Because critic rating, it's actually one of the highest rated Star Wars.
And that is why there is this new petition. Fan rating and critic rating is the problem. Because the person who started the petition cites that the critic rating is 91, the user rating is 52. Why isn't the user rating bringing down the critic rating, Rotten Tomatoes? You're lying. You're just making up numbers. And it's like, well, no, right?
That's not how that works.
This is why I need to make better metaphors. You can go to your friend Jimmy about the bone poking out of your arm, and Jimmy's going to be like, no, that's just your bones growing. That happens. Or you could go to a doctor about the bone growing out of your arm, and he's gonna be like, Jesus fucking Christ, we need to set that arm. When did this happen? You talked to fucking Jimmy and he told you your bones were growing? No.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. A critic is like sort of accredited.
We hope that they are accredited.
Well,
we should point out that there are issues all around with this Rotten Tomato stuff and Metacritic and all that. Yeah.
But
I mean, we could get press credentials like tomorrow if we knew the right person and paid the right, paid the right fee somewhere. We could get press credentials and then we could get certified ratings on Rotten Tomatoes real easy.
Dude,
that's
why
not
don't
hard
we
to
do that?
Yeah, right.
Dude, you just talked about how easy that would be. Why haven't we done this?
Because doing it would prove that there are other assholes out there like us doing it, and I don't want to really know that. Like right now, I can live in the fact that
we become the change that we want to see in the world.
Oh God! But sometimes I fear myself more than anything.
Oh wow! we just went through every Batman movie ever. That's what that conversation was. For the record,
Rotten Tomatoes is the website we need.
Yes, but that's the thing is that like people don't seem to get that it's an aggregate site. And that, like, the fan numbers are not going to affect the critic numbers.
They can't. That's the whole point is that they cannot. Yeah.
So that's it. So this is the Say Report, educating just a little bit. And also, form your own fucking opinion. We say that all the time at the Say Report. But, like, you can use it as a tool, but it's just a fucking tool.
Yeah, and I mean, like, if anybody wants to know if we are in this, like, critic nonsense, go check out our special. I'm just trying to plug our special. That's what I'm
doing. Definitely plug. What about Last Jedi?
Yeah, no. Go listen to our report on it, because it'll be much more fair and balanced than this Rotten Tomatoes nonsense.
Yes, but to be fair, Sejohn gave it a 91, and I gave it a 52.
I also am glad that you brought this up because it leads into another story that I was looking at, which is the reports out there of the polar opposite scores. Star Wars Last Jedi having a 91-52 discrepancy being held up against Netflix's new original film Bright, featuring Will Smith and Joel Edgerton having polar opposites of a 50% critic rating and like a 99% user rating, and everybody's like having this weird conversation about like, well, it's all about what you want to see as a fan or as an educated elitist, and like it's a really interesting conversation right now because I don't know. Did you watch that Bright?
I really wanted to. I'll be honest with you, but I have not sat down and done it yet.
I'm
still nursing wounds from Collateral Beauty.
I was gonna point out that this is the reteaming of Will Smith and David Ayer. Is that how you say his name?
That is.
From Suicide Squad. And it feels like this was the movie the two of them wanted to make, and then WB was like, look, we'll let you do this thing, and we won't even bother with it. Netflix will take care of it, but, like, you gotta do Suicide Squad then. Like, that's what it feels like. That was the deal with the devil that had to happen. So I really was interested in seeing...
You mean the deal with Will Smith from The Winter's Tale?
That freaking Hendrix shirt? All right. That's a freaking movie. Yeah, so I watched the first hour of it, and let that stand for itself right now. I have not finished the movie, which is weird for me.
That is very odd. I can't... I guess, like, we've talked about movies that we've started and not finished.
Right. Well, not to be, like, completely mysterious. We didn't shut it off because the movie wasn't... We shut it off for a particular reason, but it is I am noticing that I never went back to it. It is occurring to me now that I never went back to it. So... there it is.
Mystery.
Yeah. Well, like, I want you to see it, and I want to finish it before we talk about it because there's
That's
definitely
fine.
things.
I think I can find the time to do that this week.
Yeah. Speaking of watching stuffs.
Great. I would like to talk about Paul Simon at some point. I'm getting
away from it. I'm getting away from it. You see me fucking running away?
That was brilliant. It was brilliant. You were like giving a real fresh take on Paul Simon. You were giving the take that we need. He's been getting away with his bullshit for too long.
Get me into this with Batman quotes, you playing dirty. Oh, man. I'm just saying, all right, fine. Paul Simon, here's the thing. Start off 2018 with a dumb rant. I am sitting here, and I am watching a music video that I have seen many times. This is not the first time I'm seeing this. With him and Chevy Chase sitting in lawn chairs inside, and Chevy Chase is playing a saxophone next to him. That is the music video for Call Me Al. Explain this to me. Why did we let this happen? How did we get this places as a country where we allowed Paul Simon to exist for as long as he did and film this and put it out there as a music video?
Okay, so the first step to Paul Simon's like wayward conquering of music was Art Garfunkel appearing in Catch 22.
Okay.
Let's just talk about that. Weird. It's fucking weird that Art Garfunkel is in Catch 22. It's weird every time I watch that movie. That's
okay.
It. So there's like step one, right? But that was like the real like Simon and fucking Garfunkel is done.
Right. Okay.
Art Garfunkel tried to be an actor. So then,
so Paul Simon's just like, well, I'm just gonna fucking become a weirder musician.
all the ire got focused onto Art Garfunkel. Like if there were scales of justice, if there are scales of justice,
so nobody was paying attention to Paul Simon.
Everybody was like, "Can you believe fucking Art Garfunkel?" Every time you saw the video for "Call Me Al" on MTV, and the conversation was, "Do you remember when Art Garfunkel was in Catch 22?"
Oh no! I can't believe we let this happen. We let our guard down.
Like it's totally like that has to be it. Like, let me say that like with certainty and finality. That has to be what happened.
Exactly. In the future, when people look back at the '80s, all they need to do is watch the "You Can Call Me Al" music video, and that'll explain to you everything that we let go wrong with the '80s and why we needed to fix ourselves.
Dude,
I cannot. I'm so mad at it. I'm looking at this right now. Sports coats with turtlenecks underneath them and friggin' okay. All right, sorry.
Plus, he was smart and he inoculated himself by putting Chevy Chase in that video.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
oh, he does nothing in this video. Paul Simon sits in a chair the entirety of this video. Is just like, this is me. Yeah, I'm just gonna read these words off of a cue card.
So here is the crazy thing about this. Here's the reason why I wasn't gonna let Sejohn get away from this. It is the fact that I watched the Call Me Al video daily. Like, like there is a time in my day, every day, where I'm like, I need to remember that the Call Me Al video exists. Not that it works, that it fucking exists. That is out there in the world for anyone to consume.
Why? Chevy Chase, though, not playing a saxophone, just pretending to, like, in the most Chevy Chase nonsense way. His fingers are all over the place. He throws it away at one point, I think. Oh, God.
Dude, there's also all the other crazy instruments, like the conga drums that come.
Well, right,
it's an insane video. That video is insane. And that is one of the reasons why, like, daily, I'm like, all right, I have to remind myself that there is heartache and there is torture in the world.
We should film that video, you and me. We should redo Paul Simon's "You Can Call Me Out" video.
That would require us being together in a place.
Yeah, well, right, exactly.
Long enough to do that. No, I'm not saying we're not going to do that on Christmas.
Watch the "You Can Call Me Out" video and imagine it's Devin and I in there. Who would be Paul Simon? You would be. No, I would be.
I think you would be Paul Simon because, like, 100%, he is just like. And that's the other thing. That's the other reason that Paul Simon got away with it. That's the reason why he got away with it. Is that, like, you watch that video and you don't think, oh, wow, Paul Simon, this was a swing and a miss. You think, look at this fucking video that Paul Simon had to suffer through because Chevy Chase contacted him.
Exactly.
Like, it's
Paul Simon's just like, this is what you've done to me, '80s. Thank you. Like,
Paul Simon vaccinated himself against everything. Like, he saw what happened when Art Garfunkel was in Catch 22, and he's like, I always need a fucking scapegoat.
Is this? That's what it is. He's like, oh, see, I need a second so that they can be staring at him. Oh man, did you think this is like Chevy Chase at like the height of hubris, like actually being like, I'm gonna make some phone calls and get into a music video, and then somebody comes to Paul Simon who doesn't want to make music videos, and they're just like, hey man, you're contracted for another one, and Chevy Chase has one on his contract that he gets to ask for, and he's asked for you, so we're just gonna do it. Like it almost feels like Paul Simon did not want this to happen.
Dude, not only does it feel like Paul Simon didn't want it to happen, it also feels like Paul Simon was like, this is my fucking out, right? Like, I can be done. Right. I'll do the fucking Chevy video, and everyone will be like, okay, it was nice having Paul Simon. This is going to
it was
be
nice to have Paul Simon
my
on Contract for a while.
catch-22. Call Me Al video is my catch-22. and then no, everybody's like, oh man, poor Paul Simon.
Man.
Can we talk about here is Paul Simon for me now. I love Paul Simon music. Like, as just like an aside, when I got the CD player in the Saturn, one of the first albums I listened to, like start to finish, ad nauseum, was the Paul Simon Golden like Choice album. That like starts with Diamonds on the Soles of Her Shoes and then goes into Call Me Al.
Jesus. Okay, man.
Like, so like I mean I enjoy him as an artist, right?
Okay.
But he was in Welcome to Sweden. Do you remember Welcome to Sweden? Dale, who was
that
in the
weird
room,
like sitcom for like a second?
It was on for 2 seasons.
Yeah,
like, let's
really?
blow your mind away.
2 seasons? I thought you were about to say 2 episodes.
No,
I
it was
really
on for
thought you were about to say 2
seasons,
episodes.
But we'll get to what that means. It was a summer show. They always aired in pairs, right? Like it was like, we have this show, we need to burn it off. And the reason why is it's Greg Poehler. It is Amy Poehler's brother. And Amy Poehler was at like the top of her, well, basically her Chevy Chase hubris stage.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
She was riding a fucking wave from Parks and Recreation. And she's like, hey, NBC, give my brother a TV show.
Some exec there was just like, wait, we can't lose, right?
Yeah. So Welcome to Sweden is this show. And I actually really liked the show, right? Of course I did. It had 2 seasons and was like terrible. The second season, they aired one back-to-back, and then they're like, see the rest of Welcome to Sweden on demand.
Oh, God. Oh, no.
And I'm like, challenge accepted, NBC.
You tried to hide this show from me, but I found it.
And I want to say it's one of the first 4 of season 2. I think it's 3 or 4 as far as my memory goes. Greg Poehler, and he's just playing Greg Poehler. But his last name is not Poehler because Amy Poehler is a client of his as an accountant. The show is like 4 levels of fucking meta. Like,
weird.
Watch Welcome to Sweden if you have the opportunity. Just like watch the first episode and be like, how did this happen? But in like the 3rd or 4th episode of the 2nd season, he goes to a bowling alley.
Okay.
Paul Simon is playing at the bowling alley as like just an open mic sort of thing. And he goes over and talks to him, and they're like having this whole conversation. It's about like following your dreams and da-da-da. And Greg Poehler is so dismissive of everything this guy has to say because he's like a 60-year-old musician. And he's like, hey, how about I give you money for a cab ride home? And he's like,
God.
no, I'm okay. And he's like, no, let me take care of it for you. But Paul Simon is clearly playing Paul Simon. Like, that's the best part of it. And then, like, the conversation stops and a Paul Simon song comes on the PA, and he's like, yeah, now this is how it's supposed to sound. And it's just like the craziest thing. And I cannot divorce Paul Simon from that scene in Welcome to Sweden. Because, like, we were all watching. Like, the whole family took that challenge of, oh, you don't want us to see it? Well, fuck you, NBC. We're going to watch this show. That, like, Devin's the only one who kind of likes it.
I feel like that sums up the Decker attitude in, like, one fell swoop. There you go.
Oh,
Fuck you, NBC. You can't stop us.
And, like, he shows up, and we're all like, that's Paul Simon, right? Like, every one of us knew in the room that it was Paul Simon. And then this whole scene happens out, and I'm like, well, maybe he's not playing Paul Simon. But no, he very clearly is. What is the joke here?
That nobody remembers Paul Simon because he didn't make it out of the 80s.
Oh, man. Dude, like, think of the hubris on display with him, too. To call his first solo album Graceland.
Yeah, well, right. No, this is nobody associates this with anything musical. I'm gonna take this.
I'm gonna call this Graceland, and I'm gonna talk like this.
And I've decided I'm going to be Australian.
And I'm Phil Collins.
Oh, hey, you kids!
What were we talking about?
Well, I was trying to segue into one of our favorite topics of 2017, Wonder Woman. But then you threw me off with more Paul Simon nonsense.
You brought up Paul Simon in the pre-show when we were getting ready to record, and I'm like, stop it, we'll do it on the show. But they're behind the scenes. Because, yeah, you know, life.
Yeah, this is what we do, is we send each other nonsense to talk about, and then we, like, scream at each other for about 10 minutes before we start recording, and then we just hit play, or record. Well, we could hit play. Sometimes we hit play, and then we have to go back 10 minutes.
Oh, shoot, I messed up. Basically, I had a talk boy in 1992, and now we have a podcast. So, yes, Wonder Woman. Yeah, what did you want to talk about with Wonder Woman, Sejohn?
Oh God. Okay. So, no joke. Devin and I really held Wonder Woman, the film, 2017's Wonder Woman, up to high esteem. I would say, right?
I think it's partially why I liked Justice League so much.
Yeah, we talked about it a lot on the show. So no surprise, right? That it is bleeding into 2018. However, it hit me in a really hard way today because my love for Wonder Woman apparently only goes so far. Devin Decker sent me before the new year, and I should have maybe done this in 2017 so that it could have stayed back there. But he sent me a link to a little video. I don't know who out there knows about the history of Wonder Woman as a franchise, but it was 2011, Devin? Is that the year?
2011, Sejohn.
2011 is the year, and they have decided, NBC has decided, that they are going to get in on the superhero game. And they are going to release Wonder Woman, the TV show. And it falls on its face pretty quickly.
Just for honestly, a little bit of backstory before we go there, NBC had tried to insert its face into the superhero genre with The Cape.
The Cape.
In 2010.
And they hit this little thing called a cult following, and they didn't know what to do with it, and they freaked out and dropped the ball. That's what happened with The Cape, is they were just like, I don't understand. People are watching it, but not the people we want to be watching it. Cancel it, quick. That's what they did.
And then you know what? The last episode of The Cape, only available to view online. And I'm like, challenge accepted, NBC.
Fuck you, NBC. Trying to peacock block me every step of the way. Oh, man. So Devin sent me the link to a little lost video, the pilot of Wonder Woman, that I thought had been lost to the ages. So, imagine my glee when I started playing it, and I thought, this is going to be great. Except for the first, 45 seconds, it's just, this poor little black kid, bleeding out the eyes. It's not Wonder Woman. I don't know what's and then all of a sudden, it's all about this woman that, runs a company, and I think she might be an Amazon, and she keeps calling herself Diana, but I have no idea who she is. Because they don't take any time to establish any character. We could get into the details of this if you want, but man, we watched the pilot for 2011's NBC's Wonder Woman, and I am now mad at the world.
Well, that's why I sent it to you on the 26th of December, because that's what I did. Oh, this whole last week, I watched all negative things that I had collected. I found a BuzzFeed list of terrible pilots you can watch right now, and I found that in July. And I'm
my God.
I'm going to save this Wonder Woman video for a rainy day, and the 26th of December was my rainy day.
Oh my God, it was fascinatingly bad.
Can I tell you the word? I know. Sejohn wants to do more with this, but we're gonna just give you a little bit of a heads up. I'm gonna just tell you some things that happened when I watched it.
Oh no, go ahead.
You watched it. First of all, the fact that she has 3 fucking identities makes no sense to me.
Yeah, I don't.
She is Wonder Woman. She is Diana Themyscira, and she is Diana Prince. And the Diana Prince identity seems to only exist so that she can have a cat and a Facebook page.
Mm-hmm.
Am I
Yeah,
wrong?
Diane. No, yeah, it's weird. It was almost like a whole other apartment for Diana Prince. Like when we say she has three different like they're personalities. They're not even like identities. Like she straight up becomes a different person when she's Diana Prince to the point where I think she goes to a different house.
Oh yeah, she does.
She goes into
'Cause
that
that's the
house
thing.
with a cat and watches TV in this tiny little ass apartment. But she's also apparently the CEO of this major corporation.
And everyone knows that the CEO of this major corporation is also Wonder Woman.
Yeah,
And
nobody said no. Yeah, that's no secret.
in a bit of frisky dingo, and that's all I could think of. She's basically Xander fucking Cruz.
Yeah,
and they
yeah,
make
she
money
is.
on the marketing of this superhero.
I figured it out.
It
Toys, action figures. What?
It is layers upon layers upon layers of like, this is all stuff that kinda worked, right? Everybody knows Tony Stark is Iron Man, so everyone will know Wonder Woman is Diana Prince. And that doesn't work, though. How does she have grounded stories? Everyone will know she's Diana Themyscira.
Oh
And
my
then
god.
she'll have a third
Well,
identity.
right. And they understand that she's an Amazon because she starts screaming about her Amazon tits at one point, like a lot, and they're just like, Wonder Woman shouldn't be so vulgar, and she's like, tits, tits, tits.
Perfect tits, perfect ass, perfect smile.
She's just mean as Diana Themyscira. Like, it's weird. She just becomes a completely different person. And then when she's Wonder Woman, I don't know what the hell is going on. She is like, she turns into a fucking, like, sex kitten. After all of her crap about being like, I am more than just my body. The very next scene...
Dude.
I kid you not. Okay, here's the
very
thing. I
next
watched
scene.
it. So I watched it earlier today, right? And then before we started recording tonight, I decided to rewatch a couple of key things that I wanted to see. And one of them was her whole, like, I'm more than my body thing, because I thought, like, okay, this is interesting. They're trying something. And so I skipped ahead to my next thing, which was the hospital scene in which she interrogates the dude. And the moment that I skipped to was this exact
body
moment when
opens
she's
doors
outside.
for me.
And yeah, then she goes, do you like my outfit? This body opens doors for me. And I was like, wait a minute. I literally skipped from her being like, I'm more than my body, to her being like, look at my body. And it was just like, oh my God, what is happening on this show? Yeah, it was really weird. So I'm pretty sure that what you sent me was actually a lost episode of like United States of Terra.
Woo! That was a good one.
It was a weird show, man. But yeah, I watched it. Carrie Ellis doing
Dude, all right, so
something.
Can we talk about Carrie Ellis? I'm watching the whole time, and I'm like, who's this bargain basement Carrie Ellis they found for this role? This guy's great, but it can't be Carrie Ellis.
Oh my
and then
God.
I'm like, oh God, why was it Carrie Ellis?
Yeah, well, you know what it is it was
did he
puffy.
make?
Yeah, Saw is what happened. It was puffy face. Carrie Ellis was trying to like get back into the scene. It was kind of sad to watch. Like some of it though was the soft focus on everything. Everything was soft focus. Also, we cannot leave out Elizabeth Hurley as the potential villain for the series, which I actually would have been really excited to see.
I was so excited to see Elizabeth Hurley because
Yeah.
fuck Hugh Grant. Don't get me
Yeah,
wrong,
right?
Hugh Grant, if you ever listen to this, I fucking love you as an actor and everything, but like, you slept with a hooker and Elizabeth Hurley lost her career. That doesn't make sense. You're gonna be in Paddington 2. Like make it up to Elizabeth Hurley. Somehow, my friend.
Man.
Like,
Yeah, man,
Like,
like,
that hurts
I-
my heart every time I see her. Because, like, I love Hugh Grant, right? Like, thank God Hugh Grant's name didn't come out during this whole sexual scandal, right?
Well, because we all kind of already
like,
do.
No, but, like, he slept with a hooker. Like, that's what he did.
Right.
It's not like he was Harvey Weinstein his way through fucking Hollywood, right?
Right. He wasn't abusing people, you know. You just like say what you want about the idea of legal prostitution, but that's what happened with him versus right.
But it hurts every time I think about the fact that his actions ruined the career of another person.
Yeah. World kind of sucks that way.
Yeah, dude, like 100% the world kind of sucks that way. And then I see her in Wonder Woman and I'm like, why was this your like the thing where you're like, this is gonna get me back?
Oh, come on. Like it was a fantastic pull. I can totally understand why she reading that script would be like, if I get to be the villain in this, I'm down.
And
like I can understand that choice. What I can't understand is showing up on set, seeing what's happening and not walking away.
Can we talk talk about the fact that like Wonder Woman has pants on for the first 2/3 of the episode, and then like during the big Wonder Woman fight, she is like basically don't dress the way that Wonder Woman dresses.
Well, right, and after seeing an entire conversation about her pointing at the doll and being like, "This is not how I dress. This is not how I look. I will not become this," and then she freaking becomes that in the pilot. This isn't even a movie, guys. This is a 40-minute pilot. So in less than 40 minutes, we see her throw out all of her virtues, apparently, unless you stick to my theory that it is a completely different personality or person.
Like, that's the only way that it kind of works. We already talked about the fact that, like, fucking Steve Trevor is in this.
Steve Trevor's in it in a really weird way, and like the whole like skeletal arc of the skeleton of the episode is cutting back to episodes of her and Steve Trevor breaking up. So like you know that she's not with Steve anymore, and it's this one conversation that they had for like what seems like hours at this restaurant. God, I feel bad for anybody else eating at this restaurant with them because they are sitting there having this very loud conversation about the demise of their relationship in front of everybody, and she's like, "I'm sorry, but I need to be this person, and I can't be this person here with you." And he's just it just got super uncomfortable for me, and I was watching it on TV. But like, yeah, they keep cutting back to that nonsense, and then he shows up in the end, and it's like, they're old friends.
Let's talk about him showing up at the end, because that was the moment where I'm like, what? How much time has passed? What is fucking time?
Yeah, right.
Because it makes it seem like she left like 6 months earlier.
And now she runs this amazing corporation. She's Wonder Woman.
So I'm like, all right, 6 months have gone by. And then fucking, first of all, Steve Trevor is like assigned to investigate the vigilante acts of Wonder Woman. I used so many air quotes right now. My fingers are cramped.
Yeah.
Because it's
insane.
The Justice Department sent out, what? That's not how anything works.
Like, yeah, the entire thing is just like really, you know what it is? It's a bunch of holes that they never could have plugged if they had to do a whole series. Like there's all of these questions that there's no way they could have easily like kept the world together if they ever had to answer these questions. They're lucky it was only ever one episode.
Yeah, 100%. But also that's probably why it was only one episode, because they're like, well, how do we do this? Oh, did you see that she has pants on? We're gonna make them darker.
Well, that rope at some point will come into play, although she didn't really need it at all this time. She got that dude to tell the truth just by showing him the rope. She didn't do anything with it. That was ridiculous.
Does the rope have magic powers? Because the rope seemed to just be fucking Spider-Man web.
It was ridiculous.
But like this spoilers, right? I don't care. You should not watch this but you should watch it. Like 100%.
You should watch it. You should totally watch this.
But Steve Trevor is married at the end, and it's like, why?
Also, has apparently been living like down the street from her for 6 months and not said anything to her. Right. That's also like a big reveal. He's like, oh, I've actually been in town for almost a year now, and I just never got around to calling you. I kept kind of forgetting. That's honestly what he says at one moment. He's just like, yeah, you know, I was around and it just didn't happen. That's not an excuse, Steve. That's a terrible thing to say, Steve.
I like the you that died in World War I better, Steve Trevor.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, it was an amazing thing. So yes, in the future, I do want to be doing something with it. So keep your ears to the ground, people, because that's the other thing. 2018, new resolution, more projects. I think that more trying to figure out some other things to do is key.
Dude, I am amped up for February 8th. I don't know how we're going to make it work, but we're going to make it work.
We'll figure something out, maybe.
Oh, we'll figure something out. Sejohn is not excited about it, but ladies and gentlemen, we said that if there was a trilogy showing of 50 Shades of Grey, we would be there, and we would report back.
Stupid me didn't think about the fact that, of course, it would be around Valentine's Day. Like, so that means that...
Dude, it's February 8th. You'll be back in time for V-Day.
I got to get back for V-Day. I cannot believe... Oh, my God. Yes, February 8th. More promises for 2018 that I think we might actually be keeping.
Yeah, that's what projects are. Projects are promises that come true.
We're going to be watching all three.
In the theater. People are going to think we're a couple.
Oh, not that there's anything wrong with
No,
that.
no, no, not at all.
It's
Speaking of no, not at all, I have continued my adventures with Malcolm and Eddie.
oh man,
And
slowly becoming a Say Report favorite.
dude, I gotta tell you, it's like Dale last night. We were waiting for the ball to drop. Like, not waiting for the ball to drop. Like, it was like 10 o'clock and nothing was on. And we put on Malcolm and Eddie. And Dale's like, this family just needs to sit down and admit that they all love Malcolm and Eddie. Okay? It's not, everybody acts like they don't like it except for Devin, but we all like it. It's a pretty good show. And the episode that we watched is called Won't Power. And the reason why a Seinfeld quote brought me to this is that all the gang at the 50-50 Club try to go without having sex for as long as possible.
Nice.
It's a contest
Very
of
nice.
celibacy.
Yeah, it's the contest.
Oh, but it's not the contest, though, because Eddie's like, what about flying solo? And they're all like, yeah, that's fine. That's cool. It's just
can't
sex
have
with another
sex.
person.
All right, okay.
So, like, and here's the thing, like, episodes earlier, like, in the same season, they name check the fact that the Yankees owner is on Seinfeld. So, like, yeah, we're aware that Seinfeld exists. The creators of Malcolm and Eddie said.
Excellent.
So
Fantastic.
this episode, and it's such a, but here's the reason why it really works for me. The challenge is if you have sex, you then go and you have to sing Sexual Healing in the club that they now own in the 4th season.
Nice. Right, the random club they now own.
And here's the thing. So, like, I've also watched the first part of season 3, which is where Eddie left for Pittsburgh and then came back, and their bar, like Malcolm McGee's bar, had been turned into an oxygen bar. Remember oxygen bars?
Oh man, I was actually just reading about how a new one just opened up in Ohio because, we're 20 years behind the time here.
Dude, I kind of want to go to one. Like, so Malcolm McGee's is now an oxygen bar, and the owner of it is, I can't think of his name. I can't think of his name. I will say his name later, or you can look it up after I reveal to you where I know him from. So they trick the owner of the oxygen bar into selling the bar to them, and they turn it into the 50-50 Club. But then he reveals that, like, he's poor and destitute, so they keep him on as their bar manager.
Nice.
So he is introduced as a new character, and Nicolette is still there from the first season. Jamie Chadrachet is gone. Hopefully it's not because he passed away, because he's like one of those big Andre the Giant type people, where like this guy is hilarious and he's a great actor, but like you almost look at him and it's like, I worry for your health.
Yeah, man, I get that.
And it's so like the show's great, but let me tell you who that guy is. His name is, I can't even think of his name in the show, and that's upsetting me even more. But he played Spider-Man in the animated Spider-Man from the 90s.
Oh man.
So it's him walking around as their white friend running the bar. And like the show has just gotten to like new levels. But then in the episode of Won't Power, right? The whole thing goes on like 80 days. Like they do it. They take some time with this.
Damn.
And like on day 21, Eddie is dating this woman, and he's like, I can't sleep with you. And the way that it resolves, the way that he loses, spoilers, Eddie loses the competition, is she brings her twin into it, and he's like, you know what, Eddie, Malcolm, you can win because I got twins.
Oh God!
Thing. But then the other nice thing about it is like Nicolette Shamar Moore is in the episode. You know Shamar Moore, right?
Do I?
Maybe he's on SWAT on CBS.
I do then.
And he like shows up, and Nicolette starts dating him. And then the next episode that we watched, right? Like, because I watch them, and if like I think it's worth watching, I'll save it to share with the family.
Okay.
So the next one I shared was the 13th episode of season 4. And that episode's weird. Like, it's got some stuff in it that's strange. But the thing that really works for me in that is that Eddie is still dating the twins, Cindy and Mindy. And Nicolette and Shamar Moore's character, Ty, are, like, considering getting engaged. Like, let's talk about good fucking continuity on a UPN show from the year 2000.
Right.
I'm sorry that I talk about Malcolm and Eddie so much. I was hoping I could share some episodes with you when you were around, but Mother Nature did not play along.
You should never be ashamed of any of your fandoms, man.
That's true, right? That's sort of what we preach here. But you know what else I've been doing?
What else?
I got a flash cart for my Super Nintendo. That was the Christmas gift I got from my family. So I have been playing Zelda, and then you have the floor, on original Super Nintendo hardware. And that is the way it is meant to be played.
Wow. That's pretty awesome, man.
So awesome.
So I just wanted to... Man, I just wanted to, before we wrap up tonight, I wanted to just give a little shout out because I did something really awesome to ring in the new year, actually. And what it was I spent the night, Saturday night, actually, but I spent the night at the Toledo Zoo. And I want to give a shout out to the Toledo Zoo and the Christmas lighting thing that they do every year because it was friggin' awesome. Man, I don't know. Have you ever done anything like this? They do the night lights at the zoo or whatever they call them, or Roger Williams Back Home by you does also does like the dinosaur thing. Yeah, the jack-o'-lantern thing, right?
I don't know.
Man,
yeah,
there was nothing cooler than being in a zoo after hours. It was amazing. No,
that's when the animals take off, put on human clothes, and have tea parties.
They're just like us. Oh my god, no man, it was awesome, and I just wanted to just give a recommendation out there to everybody. Check out your local zoo and see what they're doing because we showed up at this place and it was amazing because you go into the Toledo Zoo and there's the big entrance thing there, and there's some exhibits off to the right. So we went off to the right, looking at all the lights and all that sort of stuff, and we got to the end of it, and there's a couple of really cool specific areas. The lights are all made to look like animals, so there was this one really cool installation where they all look like fish jumping up out of a pond and all that sort of stuff, and we thought, all right, that was awesome. And then I was like, let me take a look at the map and see where some, if there's anything that we missed. I realized that we had not even gotten into the zoo yet. We were still the foyer of the zoo. It was crazy. I took a look at the map and I was like, guys, there's a whole other 4/5 of a zoo, and the thing is you have to go over a bridge to go over the highway, but you go over the bridge and it's this massive area with lights everywhere and all these different, they've got a conservatory, they've got an observatory, they had a reptile house and an aquarium all on site, and then I don't know why I didn't think of this. There's this huge amphitheater in the back. Friggin', it's where Blink-182 played a couple of years ago when they came through. It's this huge area, and it was all covered in Christmas lights. And they had this downhill tubing area and snow bumper cars. It was crazy. So that's how I rang in 2018 and said goodbye to 2017. And it was a good time, and I wanted to make sure that people out there knew what was up at their local zoos. The end.
That's pretty good. Me, Zelda. Zelda. I guess definitely check out your local zoo. Check out local stuff around you. That's actually if I'm allowed to springboard off of what you just said. There is so much going on locally to where you live. I mean, I say that you might live in Antarctica and then there's really nothing except for penguins.
Yeah, there's stuff.
but
penguins.
There is stuff going around locally that you don't even think of. Your zoos are doing stuff. Museums probably have local days. Look around and explore the place where you live. Okay. That is a good way to live your life.
And you'd think that doing the weird stuff like the night zoo thing wouldn't really pan out, but man, the lights were really cool on their own. But the other thing is that they had a couple of exhibits open because there's some animals that are up all night, right? So I got to see a huge crocodile, the biggest crocodile apparently in captivity or something, at least in this area of the country, and all sorts of really cool stuff like that still. And it was 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, and I'm running around the zoo in Toledo. It feel like you're getting away with something. It was awesome.
That is cool. That is super cool. I'm glad you had a nice little adventure. Oh, you know what I saw? I also saw Darkest Hour.
Jesus.
Gary Oldman,
man.
Churchill movie.
I've heard he is amazing in it. I have heard mixed things about the rest of the movie.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I immensely enjoyed it. But there's a scene that, I saw it with my friend Robert Fox, and the scene happened, and both of us kind of broke down. It was a very powerful, emotional scene. Both of us were wiping our eyes. And then, but it was also like that scene where like, I need to see if that really happened, or I need to see if it was made up for the movie.
Oh, ouch. Yeah.
Because like, it's a little hard to swallow what you guys just said Winston Churchill did. Apologies.
Yeah. Oh, man.
I'm not going
That's
to
always
ruin
the
it for
worst.
anybody, but like in the moment, I was there, and it totally grabbed me and dragged me along for the ride. But it was one of those things that, like, the second I had my head about me again, I'm like, there's no way that happened.
Yeah, man, reality's a bitch. I mean, like, I remember one of the biggest things that I can think of in that vein was Captain Phillips for me was learning after the movie that Captain Phillips was actually like a dick, and like it's like that moment of just like, no, the real world kind of ruins this for me. So you kind of have to divorce yourself from the fact that it's real, but it's a little hard when the whole thing is Winston Churchill at the end of World War II.
Well, it's at the beginning of World War II.
At the beginning of World War II, sorry.
Yeah. So it's 1940. Like, there's this part of me that wants to sit down and watch all of Darkest Hour until Project Dynamo starts, and then load up Dunkirk and watch all of Dunkirk, and then watch the end of Darkest Hour. Because, like, the two movies are a really nice set. And it's weird that, like, 1940 is what we explored in 2017.
Yeah.
Oh, I also saw The Greatest Showman, which is
man.
interesting.
Yeah. I'm excited to see it.
It's a great movie. It's not a great musical. There are a couple of songs that are really, really good, but, like, it doesn't musical very well, is my opinion.
Well, that's interesting considering where you landed on La La Land. So I'll have to see it, and we'll have to give it a talk.
I would love to. Yeah, that'd be great. I also saw All the Money in the World, which, Jesus Christ.
Yeah?
Yeah. Really good. One of those movies where afterwards... Right? Oh, yeah, definitely. And with only 8 days...
Right, exactly.
Like, yeah. And it's one of those moments where, like, I got out of the theater and I saw what time it was, and I'm like, that didn't feel like 2.5 hours. Good.
That's awesome. That's a good feeling.
That's what I did. I saw a shit ton of movies also to ring out the new year. Oh, and Ferdinand! Go see Ferdinand! That's the last thing I'm going to say before we outro.
All right.
Go see Ferdinand. It's just delightful. It's just a delight. John Cena.
John Cena.
Bobby Cannavale. David Tennant.
I didn't realize Tennant was it. That's awesome.
Tennant is like, he shows up and we're like, both look at each other, me and my sister, we're like, that's David Tennant, right? There's no one else doing Scrooge McDuck's voice.
Excellent.
Yeah. So that's it. So see movies, right? Right now, I've seen everything out there except for Downsizing. So I recommend almost all of them. Because it scares us. No, it doesn't scare me. I'd like to see it. It's just that, like, I set it aside for you and it didn't work out and I'm very upset. It does scare me. Dale's in the back like it scares you. Don't be bigger for your fans. For your listeners.
Oh, God.
And actually, Robert Fox, he's like, the only movie I saw was Downsizing. And I'm like, oh, please don't tell me anything about it. And he's like, yeah, okay. And I'm like, oh, you told me stuff with your lack of enthusiasm.
Oh, man. Neil Patrick Harris is apparently really good in it.
He's Neil Patrick Harris. He's pretty much good in everything. I'd watch him make toast.
Oh, toast.
Now I want toast. All right, well, this has been the Say Report. I am Devin Decker, and if you want to yell at me about any of the beliefs or opinions I have expressed over the last 53 minutes, I can be reached at Devin D. Decker on Twitter.
And I am Sejohn and if you want to yell at me about any of the thoughts and views I've expressed, you can find me at Devin D. Decker.
Oh, you fucking asshole.
But if you want to actually say anything nice to me, I'm at Siege versus the World.
Oh, that was good. Alrighty. They're supposed to be good, but, like, Will, just take it away.
Thank you for listening to the Say Report with your host Devin Decker and Sejohn Serwick. Please follow the guys on Twitter and Facebook by searching for The Say Report, and you can always subscribe on your podcast channel so this is delivered straight to you and you can enjoy it every week. With apologies to your mother, we'll see you next time.